Free ice cream every day? Back massages on the house? Unlimited time to do what you want? Sex parties? Are these things you're interested in? If so, you might consider voting for the Socialist Party next time there's an election. Hello everyone, Thought Monkey here. Today we're going to explore the idea of socialism, what it is, where it comes from, and how it might just be the key to our ultimate sexy fantasies. For those of you that have no idea what socialism is, here's a quick, simplified definition given by the Ultimate Dictionary, Merriam Webster. Everything is owned by everyone. And it's also important to note that there are many different kinds of socialism. So while that might be a simplified definition, it is obviously oversimplifying it. Time for a quick and easy history lesson. Socialism began during the Age of Enlightenment in the 1700s, which was a time also known as the Century of Philosophy, when hundreds of mostly white European men came up with crazy ideas that modern society is founded on. Ideas like the scientific method, freedom, the separation of church and state, and lots of other fun stuff like separate but equal. Oh wait, never mind. The ideas of socialism began in France, as an idea to address the concern many had with capitalism. And there are probably hundreds of different schools of thought within socialism. For some reason, humans just can't agree on things. Maybe this is one reason why socialism has yet to work. Anyways, the most famous socialist is undoubtedly Karl Marx. Marx was born in Germany and joined a small group of people called communists. These people wanted to end the ideas of private property and the struggle between workers and their asshole bosses. He eventually had to run away to London, where he wrote lots of stuff and grew a big beard. What Marx talked about a lot was that an extremely important part of your life is the work that you do. It's where you find your creative outlet and value as a person. And I think he's onto something here. Think about something you've made in your past that you're really proud of. Chances are it's something you've worked really hard on and paid an incredible amount of attention to. Well, Marx said that the specialization of modern work was killing the value we get from our work. Instead of creating a beautiful piece of furniture from start to finish, industrialization and capitalism made the worker now only install one screw on an assembly line over and over again for hours and hours and hours. In this way, workers lost any sense of value from their work. Not to mention the mundane repetition and sense of isolation they got from such monotonous labor. And while over the years there may have been some improvements in working conditions, it's not much different for the majority of people and what they do today. To understand socialism, really, you need to first understand capitalism. It's kind of like trying to explain rehab without first explaining addiction. Capitalism at its most basic is an economic system based on private ownership. This means people can own their own property, create their own businesses, accumulate their own wealth, pay people to work for them, buy and sell goods from other people, and compete with other businesses. Sounds pretty straightforward, and it should be, because this is what our economic system is based on. Marx had several problems with capitalism. First, he said it's merciless. In other words, you remember this in history class, right? Those black and white pictures of child laborers being paid close to nothing for hours and hours of work? So what capitalism is, according to Marx, is business owners paying people as little as possible as they can get away with, and then selling whatever it is that they are making to somebody else for a much higher price. In other words, the profit business owners are making is done by exploiting the worker and ripping off the buyer. This is known as class struggle. You know what I'm talking about here. The worker versus the capitalist. Proletariat versus bourgeois. Rich versus poor. Landowner versus tenant. Marx said that the struggle capitalism causes is against human nature. By nature, we humans work together and do better when we share our resources. So when business owners want to pay workers as little as possible and workers want to be paid as much as possible, it obviously creates conflict and makes creating a system where all are equal much more difficult. Another problem he had is that the idea of capitalism transforms the positive sides of life into negatives. For example, as a society, we generally think of people who don't work or go on long vacations as lazy, indulgent, or unproductive, and we use terms that hold negative connotations such as unemployed or welfare, when the truth is that being unemployed and picking up a welfare check is much closer to freedom than the life Bob has, who works a 9-to-5 in a small little boxy cubicle and has to pay his mortgage and car payment off every month, not to mention the alimony he owes to his 2 ex-wives. Unemployment should be celebrated because as a society, we make enough wealth that not everyone has to work. Why has it been ingrained in us that this is negative? This brings me to the idea that ideas are like little organisms that want to reproduce. And one way the idea of capitalism does this is by making us stigmatize those who don't work. You see, Capitalism is an ideology, and this ideology wants to keep itself alive in our minds. Just like genes don't want to die, they make us horny so we reproduce. Well, ideologies do something very similar. They want to spread and reproduce just like organisms do, though some ideas are like viruses and others like hummingbirds. Capitalism then has an interest to perpetuate certain ideas that encourage work and consumerism. Those that don't work are labeled lazy, those who live minimalistic lives are considered cheap. The problem with capitalism, according to socialists, isn't that those at the top are corrupt. Socialists recognize that power will always corrupt no matter what the system is. The problem is that capitalism teaches us to be stressed out, enslaved to our jobs, and ever wanting more. The idea behind socialism is that eventually we'll get to a place where there is no private property or inherited wealth, where income is taxed heavily at the top and the government will control things like transportation, communication, and banking, and we get free education. You might be thinking we have some of that right now, and that's because our economy isn't purely capitalistic. Our government has instilled certain socialist elements into our economy, and in fact, if you read the Constitution, a lot of it sounds like socialism. And that's because it is. We live in a weird, capitalistic, socialist model. A model that obviously needs work. Marx believed that just like how organisms evolve, so do our economic systems. And while critical of capitalism, he also recognized that because of it, our productive abilities were able to rapidly grow. But he believed that capitalism was just one evolutionary step away from socialism, and socialism was just one step away from communism, which is another story in itself. The question is, was Marx right? Are we on that step between capitalism and socialism? And if so, what's next? Thank you for watching. If you want me to tackle any topics, please let me know in the comments section below. And if you liked the video, please hit the like button below and subscribe. It makes a big difference. Thank you.